That's totally biased. Yeah.
That's exactly what you're saying.
Super. Let's go ahead and read chat real quick. Pretty sure Cat's winning right now. Hello?
Oh, wait for it, man. The chickens are a little bit slow to get in here, but they'll come.
Cat, hello?
Look at them. There's so many chickens.
I mean, if science tells us anything, cats eat chickens. So.
Oh,
got him.
We're going to science for this, are we? This is the internet. Science doesn't matter.
Oh.
Some early damage being traded back and forth. Beanslayer finding his target here shortly, but surely going for a stun onto Asbur, trying to go for a cyclone. He does get locked out on it. Both mages just channeling frost bolts, built up on full icicles, looking to make a play here. Deep freeze onto Felorea. Looks like they're going to be pressuring Mageiden. Full bleeds are up. Clone onto Asbur. Triple CC 3v1 onto him. He's playing very defensive. Running back here. Beanslayer's going to reconnect, throwing out a bunch of damage onto him. 40% HP remaining. Felorea still getting CC'd. He Ore Mastery's out of the frost jaw. Beam now onto Fuzion, but Felorea gets cloned. Samiyam getting pressured as well. It seems like they're going to just be trading off on both mages.
Yeah, I guess, like you said, the mages are going to be the target of choice this game. Fuzion actually getting deep frozen there, not going to be able to follow it up. Mageiden is not. The Cyclone out on the Beanslayer right now. Samiyam in a little bit of trouble, although Fuzion isn't in any CCC. Any CC, pardon me, is going to be able to get those heals onto Samiyam, but Asbur actually throwing the offensive clone onto Samiyam, denying those incoming heals. And it looks like this FMP really isn't able to get out too much damage right now against this Mage Boomkin Pally team. The clone coming out onto Asbur from Beanslayer. And it looks like Mageiden finally going to get damaged up. The Frost Shot out onto Felorea into Deep Freeze. If Samiyam can get the sheep here, Mageiden could be in a little bit of trouble, but he was able to actually get the sack up onto Mageiden. Save at the Light did proc though. Felorea's going to get out of that CC and hopefully be able to top Mageiden off. This back and forth at the beginning of this game.
Yeah, Beanslayer being very offensive with these clones, cloning Mageiden now, looking to turn it over onto Felorea. I would imagine he lands that full, but Mageiden got topped off in the meantime. Fuzion does sacrifice that poly. It's going to break the CC, allow him to keep his team topped off, keep the pressure rolling onto Mageiden, who's in full retreat. Blazing speed behind the pillar, just waiting for Felorea to leave the CC. Asbur gets cloned. Felorea still polyed, now into a full Fist of Justice. It could be the first ice block as the Frozen Orb gets thrown down. He blinks out of the Frozen Orb, desperately trying to hold on to it. Ice Nova is just to root them all in place, but now a full clone onto Felorea. It's just not ending. It's going to force the first block here and let Scout's Honor start to get the CC rolling. Once again, Asbur gets locked on the clone. Mageiden comes out, trying to make a play, gets the Deep Freeze, lands the poly, clone onto Samiyam. 3v1 onto Beanslayer. He has no trinket in that full Hodge, but Mageiden got cloned up prior to it. He's going to be able to stabilize relatively well. Heart of the Wild, Survival Instincts comes out. Fuzion still in that root. Solar Beam choosing not to trinket out of it. Does finally leave and top off Beanslayer. A bit of a close call for Bean, though.
Yeah, that was an excellent play by Beanslayer, cloning up Mageiden there, but now Beanslayer deciding to go offensive using that Incarnation as well as the Berserk. They want to go hard on a Mageiden. Felorea caught into that full Frost Shot into the Hodge, and now Mageiden in a lot of trouble. That's going to be his second block. He has no blocks available, although Beanslayer got cloned up by Asbur. It wasn't enough. Mageiden still had to use that Ice Block, forced to play defensive. Fuzion getting Deep Freeze, full sheep coming out from Mageiden. Beanslayer the target of choice right now. He doesn't really have anything left. He could be in a little bit of trouble, but Fuzion's going to get out of that CC. Fuzion has everything ready to go. He gets locked out, though. Now a lot of bursts incoming onto Beanslayer. The sheep's coming out from Mageiden onto Samiyam, trying desperately to prevent the incoming damage. He has no blocks available. He's in a lot of trouble. Felorea really only has his bubble left, as well as some bops to save Mageiden's life. Doesn't have a block available for another 2 minutes. Beanslayer getting hodged up, though. A lot of incoming bursts. This could be the end of Beanslayer. Nothing available. The save by the light procs, and they shred through it. Fuzion trying at the end to use those wings to top him off, but it wasn't enough, and that Mage Moonkin burst was incredible.
Yeah, it's a well-timed Celestial Alignment. He popped it right at the beginning just to get the cooldown up a little bit faster, and finally caught him in a full stun, and that's the situation where that's when you're going to die, and Fuzion reacted just unfortunately like 0.3 seconds too late. He did have his Trinket Avenging Wrath, a lot of cooldowns to pick him back up, but he needed to react like almost instantly to be able to save him.
What does that Celestial Alignment do for those of us that don't play Moonkin?
It's 20% more damage.
20% more damage?
Simply put, it's a lot more than 20%, but it reads 20% more on top of what it does. It provides you peak Eclipse. So if you don't play a balanced druid, you have an Eclipse bar that goes between solar and lunar. When you press Celestial Alignment, you get both of those peaked So you cast Moonfire, put Sunfire up as well, so you get full dots on everything or one target, whatever you need. But it's going to increase your damage based on your mastery plus 20%. So every Star Surge, theoretically, if you have Trinket proc, could probably hit upwards of like 60 to 90k through that duration. And that's when you're looking to set it up in one shot. And that's what ended up taking Beanslayer down.
Okay.
The next map apparently coming out from this FMP, they're going to bring it over to Tiger's Peak. Alright, Wargame request being sent out. We'll jump right back into the action, guys. Here we go. We'll see you in just a hot minute. Welcome to Tiger's Peak. Scout's Honor versus For Mecah. Both of these teams have competed in GCD before, and both of them did quite well. But for Mecah, this team is the previous tournament's championship. So, I don't know. They're definitely the favorite in this matchup, I feel. Not composition-wise, just because they are the champions. But Scout's Honor, as we saw last game, definitely can put on the pressure as they forced both ice blocks out of Mageiden. But I don't know. Here we go.
It's interesting that Beanslayer is running Heart of the Wild. I would have imagined that you'd run Vigils, so he just gets more consistent healing whenever Fuzion is CC, because that Heart of the Wild is like a one-hit wonder, and the point in time that he used it wasn't the cooldowns out from Asbur, so he ended up having nothing to try and counteract it and slow the incoming damage. Early opener on a Mageiden. He's choosing not to blink out of that stun, and Asbur's going to get cloned now. It wasn't able to be counterspelled as the stun came out. He's going to come out of the Cyclone. Beanslayer being relentless, though, going for another one, trying to find his target, which is going to be Mageiden once again. Fuzion into the Root Solar Beam. Beanslayer in a Hodge, going to force the Aura Mastery out, as well as the Survival Instincts. A ton of damage coming in out from Asbur, and Mageiden's double Ice Nova. He still has not activated the Celestial Alignment, however. A full clone onto Fuzion here. Asbur's not going to be he's going to be immune to Cyclone at this point in time. He can do whatever he likes at this point. Poly onto Fuzion. He did sacrifice it. They haven't purged it off. Mageiden pushing in here. He's dipping low, though. Felorea into the full clone. Dipping lower and lower. Saved by the Light Proc. He's going to have to block here at 25%. And it's looking like a similar game as last.
Yeah, exactly. But we're going to be looking for those hard swaps onto Beanslayer if he gets caught into a Hodge while Fuzion CC'd. It's very, very scary for him. But right now, for Mecah on the back foot, actually, Mageiden getting cloned up after he comes out of that Ice Block Felorea using those wings. So they're trying to, they know they're not going to get a kill during these wings, so they're just trying to prevent as much incoming damage as possible. Now Asbur getting cloned up. Mageiden actually getting sacked by Felorea, trying to prevent some incoming damage. Fuzion getting full ringed there, though. Beanslayer caught into the full Hodge. The DR bash. Save with the Light's going to proc. They're just shredding through it. He catches a huge heal, though. And he's going to get away. I don't believe he used the Survival Instincts there, so I guess he knew a big heal was coming in. He didn't have to use it, but now Mage is in a lot of trouble, down to 30% HP. The Hodge on the Asbur. Felorea getting full cloned out. He does catch a huge heal in between that. He uses his Trinket, rather, and gives Mageiden basically full health, and now Mageiden's going to get cloned up, and they were able to work through Felorea's Trinket.
Yeah, so many Cyclones being thrown out right now. Asbur does get locked out by Beanslayer, who puts him into a Cyclone of his own. Mageiden pushing in for the Deep Freeze Polymorph. Beanslayer caught in a Hodge, but he doesn't manage to land the Polymorph. Samiyam spamming the defensive Polymorphs, trying to deny it. Fuzion's going to be able to line a sight back here with Beanslayer, and he should be able to top him off. Skull Bash coming out from Bean there. Did lock out the Cyclone. He also got locked out on his own Cyclone. Hodge on Asbur. Mageiden in a 3v1 situation. Saved by the Light's going to proc. Another Poly onto Felorea. Mageiden line of sighting desperately as Saved by the Light will be fading here shortly. Beanslayer reconnects, though, forcing that second Ice Block as we saw last game, and this is a situation where Felorea is going to have to pop his Avenging Wrath, get him topped off, get him on the offensive, but Beanslayer saving his Trinket, unlike last game, and that's his biggest escape.
Yeah, he's going to have that, like you said, for that incoming Hodge when Fuzion does get CC'd. Feloria's wings up right now, but Mageiden doesn't have another block for around a minute. The clones coming out of Asbur onto Beanslayer, onto Samiyam. Both teams just having so much CC. Beanslayer getting out of the CC, throwing Mageiden into the full clone. They're looking like they want to get CC onto Felorea. Samiyam's going to push in. He's going to get the full sheep onto Felorea. Asbur's going to get bashed. He does decide to Trinket that, gets locked out on the Cyclone, and now Feloria's going to get polymorphed out of that. They need some more CC on Felorea if they want to kill Mageiden. Here comes the Frost Jaw. Floria's getting that War Mastery. That Beanslayer not going to go for the Cyclone at the moment. Mageiden looking like he's going to get topped off. He's going to be A-okay for now. Fuzion actually using those wings to top off Beanslayer, keep his team aggressive and fully topped off, and both teams at this point have stabilized.
Yeah, Avenging Wrath going to be fading for Fuzion. That's his biggest healing output. Asbur Celestial Alignment coming off CD. They've got to survive for 20 more seconds, though. 3v1 onto Mageiden. Felorea bubbles desperately to save him. He gets locked on Polly. Denounces flying in. Blazing Speed. Ice Nova connects. He does get topped off by Felorea in the nick of time. Cyclone's being spammed out defensively from Asbur, securing his life for the time being. He's going to have a block in 5 more seconds. Mageiden spamming the Polys onto Samiyam, buying that time. Cold Snap coming up just now, so he should be alright so long as he gets it off. Pushing in here eventually, I would imagine, for a deep freeze. Polymorph Fuzion actually getting deep frozen right now. Put into a full ring. Hodge on a Beanslayer, clone into Samiyam. He blocks that to try and save Beanslayer here, who's dipping lower and lower. Fuzion gets a huge heal off, though, in between the CC chain. A little bit of a mistimed CC chain does keep Beanslayer alive and keeps his trinket for the next swap.
Yeah, Samiyam just throwing out those polymorphs onto Mageiden, onto Felorea. Now Asper's caught into the Hodge. The full Frost Draw onto Felorea as he pushed into Dispel Asper. The clone coming out onto Asper. Now if they can get any follow-ups they see onto Felorea, Mageiden could be in a lot of trouble. Like you said, his block did come up, but he's not going to want to use it. Felorea does have his trinket as well as buffs available for Mageiden. Beanslayer going to throw that offensive clone onto Mageiden. If they can get follow-ups you see onto Felorea, it doesn't look like he can. Asper's going to go ahead and he's going to go ahead and clone up Beanslayer. Fuzion able to top him off, popping that War Mastery, and now they're going to push in relentlessly, going for Mageiden, trying to get that CC onto Felorea. Both Samiyam and Beanslayer throwing out those polymorphs in Cyclone, but Felorea is able to use that freedom on himself and just really LOS around the pillar. And now Samiyam taking a little bit of damage. Going to go ahead and have to block at 4% HP. He has no blocks available because he's been using them offensively. Fuzion still has his bubble as well as trinket available, but Samiyam is going to have to be careful with no ice block left.
Full poly lands onto Felorea, though, trying to get that ice block without using it. The Incarn actually got cloned up by Asbur, reacting very quickly, now rotating it onto Fuzion, possibly looking for the Hodge setup here onto Beanslayer. Samiyam with no blocks as well. Both are viable targets. Incarnation going to be fading here shortly and not accomplishing too much. Samiyam dipping low. Fuzion has to trinket, pop the Avenging Wrath, get the big heal out. Now Mageiden on the back foot is going to get bopped. It gets spell stolen immediately, though. Asbur getting cloned up by Beanslayer once again. Beanslayer trying to push in here to finish the job onto Mageiden, putting out full bleeds with the poly onto Felorea. Hodge onto Asbur, 3v1 onto Mageiden. He's got one more block. It might be forced here and now. He's going for the polymorph at 30% HP. He's got to be careful. 20%. Saved by the Light's going to prog. Deep freeze onto Felorea, holding onto his block like a sir, and he will survive. And now the Root Solar Beam onto Fuzion. He's going to have to bubble that as Samiyam has no blocks at 50%. Pops the Amplify Magic, gets cloned up, trinkets that, giving Fuzion the time to top him off. But both mages looking very scared at the moment.
Yeah, Samiyam, I mean, this FMP, they have nothing left. They have no ice blocks, and now Fuzion's caught into a full clone. Samiyam having that Save by the Light proc and then pushing back, doing anything he can to survive. Fuzion's going to get out of that CC, going to be able to top off Samiyam, but Samiyam actually accidentally blinks that heal as he pushes in for CC. Felorea now caught into the full polymorph. Mageiden forced the block there, so Samiyam's aggressive play going to pay off, forcing Mageiden's ice block. Mageiden's going to have another ice block coming up in around 30 seconds, whereas Samiyam doesn't have another one for a minute. Felorea's still in that Cyclone, though. Mageiden actually getting the bop as well as he does come out, and he is still in a little bit of trouble. That bop going to prevent the Beanslayer's damage. Asper throwing out the Cyclones, though. Beanslayer is going to trinket that Cyclone, keep the aggressive play up. Stack coming out from Felorea onto Mageiden at the moment. Icy Veins is up for Mageiden. They're trying to get something going on to Samiyam. Deep freeze onto Fuzion if they can get any follow-ups. You see the beam onto Samiyam. Samiyam's in a lot of trouble at the moment. He doesn't have a block for another 24 seconds. He's trying desperately to stall as long as possible for that Cold Snap to come up, but Fuzion trying to connect to him, but Samiyam just kiting him out. Fuzion has those wings up. If he can get there, he will be able to top off Samiyam. He's trying to fake cast the CS, just finally gets the Holy Light off, but Asper clones it up, denying that incoming heal from Fuzion, pardon me, and Samiyam somehow manages to survive. He's going to have another ice block available to him. Fuzion getting deeped up there, Mageiden trying to get the polymorphs out, but Fuzion doing an excellent job line of sighting.
Yeah, and that block is going to secure his life for now. Both mages having one available. Asbur getting cloned 3v1 onto Mageiden. He's got to be careful. He's pulling back defensively, trying to get to the Tiger statue. Beanslayer spamming out the clones relentlessly. Saved by the Light's going to proc onto Mageiden. Beanslayer still putting out the pressure. Blocks at 12% HP. Beanslayer getting cloned up. Felorea leaving the Frostjaw. Tops him off with the Avenging Wrath. We're now at 20% dampening. Mageiden on the back foot with no blocks remaining, but they're making a turnaround onto Beanslayer. No trinket! 30% HP! Huge Fuzion trinkets there, gets the execution sentence off to save Beanslayer in his time of desperation there. Great play from Fuzion, not having a repeat of last game. Felorea's Avenging Wrath going to be fading here shortly. He does get polyed. Asbur's clone. Mageiden now on the defensive, has no blocks remaining. Hodge onto Asbur. Felorea is going to bubble to save Mageiden desperately here, topping him off in that bubble, answering the incarnation instantly. Now Fuzion caught in a root solar beam. Beanslayer into a full Hodge. He didn't get the survival instincts up prior to the stun. Star Surges are flying in. He's going to manage to re-stealth with that incarnation. Does lock Asbur out, going for a defensive Cyclone, going to get bashed on it. He gets bopped and trinketed. A little bit of an overlap. The bop not going to matter too much in the grand scheme, though. And Mageiden now with no blocks, getting pressured hard. Felorea trinkets. Hodge onto Asbur. Denounces flying in from Fuzion. Aura Mastery going to be used from Felorea to desperately top him off here. Nature's Vigil going to be fading. Mageiden running out of steam. He's got to block in 1 more minute. Felorea is going to top him off. Blazing Speed back here with him as well, building up those icicles for the next assault as Fuzion has nothing remaining for cooldowns.
Yeah, Beanslayer as well as Mageiden, both in a lot of trouble. Really, everyone's in a lot of trouble right now. Asbur throwing that clone onto Beanslayer, trying to prevent some incoming damage as they do get CC onto Fuzion. Now Beanslayer getting hodged up. This could be the end for him. Fuzion has nothing to get out of this. Beanslayer does have 2 survival instincts up. If he can get out of the stun, he is going to pop that. It's going to reduce incoming damage by 50%. But he's still really, really low. Fuzion actually getting deeped up there, but he did get a huge heal on a Beanslayer. Mageiden getting maimed up now. They need CC on a Felorea if they want to make something happen on a Mageiden. Felorea doesn't have Trinket or a Bubble available, but Asbur doing an excellent job cloning up Beanslayer. There is going to get dispelled by Fuzion, but now Fuzion in the full root beam. Beanslayer in a lot of trouble. The Save by the Light is going to proc. Mageiden doing an excellent job at the same time CCing Samiyam, so he can't throw really any peels. If they can get anything onto Fuzion, that's the full bash, the full hodge to Beanslayer, and that's going to be the game. 2-0 for Mecah, and Scout's Honor is going to be going to the losers bracket.
Wow. What an amazing series, though, coming out from both of these teams. That was so close. Both teams on the edge of dying. I mean, Mageiden's Cold Snap is coming up right now, so he had a block available right then. Yeah, both teams performing quite well. Let's take a quick look at the replay, guys. Yeah, we're going to continue on, guys. This is the round 2 of their winners bracket, and Scout's Honor is going to drop down to the lowers bracket. They aren't out of the tournament yet, guys. They will come back and compete tomorrow right here at GCD TV at 9 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to come and root your favorite players on, Fuzion, Samiyam, and Beanslayer, definitely come back then. But for Mecah, the previous tournament